Hello, everyone. This is Andrew with the Contemplative Mental Health Leadership Group. And today we are talking about working the workshop, making a workshop that works, building it with structure and clarity and ways to support that process. We have a special guest, Mike Lyons, who is a SCORE co-chair for workshop development, and he is my business mentor as well. We also will be joined by Lauren today, who is a therapist in the community of Boulder County along the Front Ranges of Colorado. And so we're just going to turn it over to Mike to share a little bit about planning and workflow.
Great. Thanks, Andrew. I sure appreciate that. So as Andrew mentioned, my name is Mike Lyons. We're going to be talking a little bit today about how to plan for and conduct a workshop, really with any topic. So not a topic specific one, but the idea here is that we will be thinking of it in the context of an in-person event. So this is going to be a little bit different than maybe something that you would plan as a webinar. And so the idea here is that this is going to be how we kind of proceed with the discussion that we have. And my apologies for the background noise. We've got some work going on in the house, and it should be done here in a few minutes. So let's talk a little bit about an agenda. We're going to talk about before you start. What that implies, what needs to be done, sort of the pre-work before your planning starts. We'll talk about some planning tips, recognizing that there could be a wide variety of different topics and focuses for your workshop. I'm not going to be able to cover them all, but what I should be able to do is at least give you some tips on what you want to plan. Then we're going to be looking at marketing. This is going to be a big part of your workshop success, is how you market the event, the way you describe it, the way you reach out to individuals. We'll talk a little bit about conducting the event, some tips there. And then we'll talk about post-event follow-up, which is also important when you think about it in terms of what you're trying to accomplish. Typically, the biggest part of that, sort of connecting your idea about the workshop and the benefit that you want to have happen from the workshop, oftentimes that occurs in the last two bullet points, conducting the event and the follow-up. So I can't underemphasize or overemphasize the post-event follow-up as being an important part of the process. So let's take a look at sort of ideas before you start. So we're gonna kind of take a page from the Who, What, When, Where, Why planning book, and I want you to think about who your client is, what you want to accomplish, when do you want the workshop to take place, where will it take place, and then why is the workshop the right approach? Are there other approaches besides a workshop that might be a better use of your time and of your client's time and the attendees' time? Workshops, it turns out, are a lot of work, right? And so there may be other ways to sort of accomplish your goals without a workshop. Maybe not. Maybe the workshop is the right approach, but I want you to give that some consideration. Having a good high-level answer to all of those questions before you start is going to be a really important part of your success strategy. And so you don't have to have every idea, confirmed and every idea validated, but I want you to have these 5 bullet points pretty well established in your head before you go forward. I will also say that the notion of, why is this workshop important? Doing it for money is not the right answer. If that's what you're trying to accomplish, I would encourage you to find another approach to doing that. That's not to say workshops can't make money for you and can't benefit your organization, but that's not the best way to do it. Okay, so planning tips. If you're starting from scratch, I would encourage you to give yourself anywhere from 4 to 6 months of planning, if not longer. These events take a lot of time, and you're going to probably go through 3 or 4 iterations of an idea, 3 or 4 challenges are going to occur. So give yourself plenty of time. And my own personal experience is the longer I've given myself, the better the result is. Now, I'm sure there's an exception on the other end of the spectrum. If you start too early, you're not going to see success. But I do believe that 4 to 6 months is about the right length of time. Next, develop your workshop plan, including which resources you'll need first. So think about it in terms of, I want to do a workshop on yoga. Yoga is an interest of mine. And I want, 2 teachers, and I'm going to need a room, and it's going to be an overnight event. So I want, a hotel. I need to get people there and back. So that's what I mean by resources. Which resources are you going to need? Get that well established in your head before you start going too much farther. Once you have a good idea of the workshop, plan and choose the site location. I've done a number of workshops where I've had to go out of town, or I've had to rent property, or rent a hotel conference room space. Those tend to be pretty hard, particularly if you're in a popular area. Those tend to be pretty hard to secure. So 4 to 6 months out is going to give you an opportunity to get on somebody's calendar, solidify the date, time, and have yourself a good resource, a good location to go to. Next, secure any resources you're going to need, such as people, equipment, travel, those kinds of things. Get that planned out, get the understanding of how that's going to work before you start to determine things like fees and costs, and what kind of profit you want. So you're going to need to get all of your cost information figured out before you start figuring out what the fees are going to be for the event. And then with all of that under your belt, start your marketing event. And you can start doing your marketing while this other stuff is being finalized, right? A lot of times what you'll find is, you've got a location secured, and you've got 2 or 3 speakers that you want, but maybe that changes a little bit. You can do all of that while you're marketing. But the marketing process is going to take some time. So the earlier you start, the better. I'm going to stop here and see if there are any questions before we go on. Okay. So let's talk a little bit about marketing a workshop or a webinar. Having a marketing strategy makes for better outcomes. If you're not a marketing person, or that doesn't come to you naturally, or you feel as though this may be an event over your head, my encouragement is to hire an expert, find an expert, partner with somebody who has that expertise, but give yourself the benefit of having somebody who can do the marketing strategy with you or for you. you'll find that these events take a lot of time. And if you've already got a full-time job, or you're already working in other areas, you're already doing other things that are important in your life, having some help with a marketing strategist is a good idea. Next, identify your target audience. And I can't overemphasize how important this part of it is. Be specific if possible. So being more specific is better than being vague. And again, using the yoga metaphor, am I appealing to experienced yoga practitioners? Am I appealing to a younger generation? Am I appealing to somebody who wants a grand experience out of country? Am I appealing to somebody who has the wealth and the means by which to, get to Guatemala or get to Costa Rica or wherever the event is going to take place? So think about who that target audience is and get a good profile of them built in your mind, so that that will make your market experience a lot more productive. Next, if you can, obtain an email list or some sort of listing that will help you. Yeah, thanks, fellas. Appreciate it. Obtain an email list that will help you reach out to the individuals that you want to attend. Now, one way to do that is through the Biz Boost program from the Denver Public Library. Biz Boost will offer you a research librarian who can take your customer profile and find mailing lists and individuals that sort of fit that demographic. And so my encouragement to you is find the right people and then figure out how to contact them. And typically an email mailing list is a good way to do that. Even though you may not have all of your logistics determined and figured out, but you have a date where you want it, sending out a save the date is appropriate. My son-in-law does yoga retreats, and he will send out a save the date with information about his concept of what he wants, 3 to 6 months ahead of time, so people have an opportunity to think about it, maybe save a little money up for the trip, talk to their significant others about going, making arrangements. So without a lot of detail, you can certainly put a save the date on a calendar and pique the interest of individuals that might be interested in going. Once you've done that, coordinating with social media platforms, social media groups, your network, always a good practice. Start to look at ways that you can take your mailing list, drive people to your social media platforms, and vice versa. Telling people who's going to attend, or helping individuals understand, I've got 30 people set up for this event already, whatever the case may be, is a good idea to both do in mailing and in social media. Next, you want to establish a registration page, a landing page about the event where people can register and they can pay for the event. This is a step that a lot of folks feel a little reluctant to do because, you've always got in the back of your head, well, what happens if I cancel? What happens if I don't move forward? What happens if something changes? You can always go back and refund people's money, but getting people to register and pay early on really helps in the cash flow of your workshop event. So if you can do it, my encouragement is get a website, get a registration page, and get a means by which to allow people to pay you. That might be Venmo, that may be credit cards, that may be a number of other online payment processes, but my encouragement is to do that. The other thing that does is it puts a little wind in your sail when you start seeing people paying for the event. You start to see cash build up. It starts to become a real thing at that point. So it's a good milestone to have occurred. Have a list of registered people handy for regular communications. Once people start registering, they start paying for the event, you want to be able to reach out to them on an ongoing basis. Maybe it's just a quick email saying, we're really looking forward to seeing you. Maybe it's pictures of where the event is going to take place. Maybe it's, quotes or anything that you might be able to get in front of people to get them excited about participating in the event, I think is a good idea. And then last but not least, follow up regularly, even after the event, right? And we'll talk a little bit about that in the next slide. I'll stop here. Any questions?
I have a question about the landing registration page. So right now I use Eventbrite for all my links that I'm hosting, and with one of the nonprofits, they want me to do the registration. Another nonprofit that I work with, they have their own process, their own liability forms and stuff. So it goes through their website. Yeah, what are your thoughts about how the logistics of where people register and how it's done? How does that impact people's ability to get there?
Yeah. My encouragement is to make the registration page and the experience of registering and paying all about the event that you're doing and not about who the partners are or any of the ancillary information that may be out there. Think of it in terms of your user experience. I want to sign up for this workshop. I don't want to hear a bunch of other stuff when I get to that landing page about other things that are happening. And, if you sign up now, you can get this discount or that discount from another organization. What I'm really interested in is looking at and experiencing, the ability to sign up for the event that I'm interested in and the ease of use for paying. So if you've got a partner that's offering to provide the landing page, I think that's great. It takes a little load off your back, but ask to see what the page looks like, how much additional marketing information is going to be there, how distracted they're going to be, because really you want them focused on that, getting that registration done for you. And if it's too busy, people get distracted. People will look at it and say, oh, wait a minute, maybe I could do this instead, or, oh, let me see what this, organization is doing. And it distracts from the registration process. So that would be my guidance. Other questions?
A question did come up for me as I was looking at identify your target audience. Specific is better than vague. And I think at least I can struggle to identify a niche. Do you have any tips about where to start if you feel like you have a lot of ideas and a lot of applications for your workshop, but you're struggling to figure out where to begin with a niche?
Sure. So, Lauren, it's a bit of a process, unfortunately. But I would start that process by finding a resource that can give you some level of assurance of lists of how to reach out to the audiences. So you may have you may have 3 or 4 different ideas of who your audience might be, or which audience you might want to focus on. So take each one of those and run them through the process of where can I find contact information for that niche of people. Some you're going to find out, I can't reach those people. It's too hard to find them. Others you're going to find out, oh, I can reach these people a little easier based upon the profile that I've created for them. So it's unfortunately, I don't have a really easy answer. The process is going to require a little testing, looking at it, looking through from the resource perspective of how can I contact these people and what does that contact list look like? Am I only coming up with 5 or 6 people? Am I coming up with 30 or 40? Am I coming up with 1,500? And use that data to help you know which one to focus on. The marketing information that I have, and I'm not a marketing expert, says that when you do an email marketing campaign in combination with a social media campaign, your list is going to generate somewhere between 1 and 2% of the, you're going to get 1 to 2% of people registering for your event. So bigger lists are going to generate a little more attendees than a smaller list.
Great, thank you.
Mm-hmm. Sure. Okay, let's go on to the next one. So conducting the event. And this is, the first one here is a hard-learned lesson. When you get ready, you're preparing to, you've got your logistics set up, you've got your speakers set up, you've got your audience registering. Maybe this is something that just comes second nature to you. Maybe, as a yoga teacher, again, I know all the yoga poses. I'm familiar with prana and breathing techniques, and I've done these 100 times before. Maybe you don't have to practice a bunch in that situation, but most of the time, particularly if this is one of your first 3 or 4 events, my encouragement to you is practice, practice, practice. The more practice you can give yourself, the better the event is going to be, the less stress and anxiety you're going to have as you go into that first day or as you get close to the day. So practicing is really, really, for me, a great way to get prepared. Make sure that you coordinate with resources, several days before the event. So you want to have caterers figured out if you're going to cater it. You want to know transportation arrangements. You want to know your facility is ready for you. And that all requires you to, check in a couple of days before the event's scheduled to take place, just so you can make sure all of the resources that you're going to call upon are available. Be prepared for last minute setbacks and plan for contingencies. My son-in-law talks about an event that he did in Fuji. No, that's not right. It was in Bora Bora, I think. And he got there early. He had set up arrangements for the hotel. He had gotten all the transportation from the airport to the facility. And the day before the event, the weather forecast is for severe storms. And he's planned to have this event in a outside setting by the beach. And, what do you do? Well, what he did was he had to rent a warehouse the day before the event, move all of his stuff from the hotel to the warehouse so he could conduct his first day of yoga. Those are the kinds of things that happen for events like this. So plan for contingencies. Confirm attendees and payments with a sign-in sheet or something similar. You're going to have some attrition. People are going to sign up and then some percentage are not going to appear at the event, and you're going to have an issue where they're going to want a refund. So being able to know who's there, who's paid, and who's attended, really helpful information to have so that you can figure out, okay, this person is entitled to a refund if I offer them at all, or this person showed up for the first half of the day. Do I give a refund for that? Think about that in terms of making sure your policies are pretty secure in your mind. Above all, as you're conducting the event, ensure that attendees find value and get what was advertised. So, if you're talking about therapy sessions, making sure that your attendees find value in that therapy, and that the therapy that you were going to offer that has been advertised is what's delivered. Now, maybe you add to that. It's perfectly fine. Giving more is always okay, but making sure that people get the value that you've offered and that you deliver on what was advertised. And this has happened to me a couple of times where I've done workshops that have a workshop course description, and somewhere along the process, I change my mind about what I'm going to do or how I'm going to talk about a topic, and I don't deliver what I advertised. And that always is a problem. It always gets me. So make sure that your course description or your description of the event or the workshop matches what you deliver. Last but not least, enjoy and learn. Workshops can be a lot of work. They can be very taxing. They can be strenuous, but to the best of your ability, enjoy the moment. And it's fair to take time after the event and write down what you've learned, write down what worked, what didn't work, talk to attendees, have them share with you information about what their experience was, so that the next time you do this, you're a little further ahead and your learning curve is a little less steep. Last but not least, post-event follow-up. And I want to emphasize that this is really an important part of the whole workshop process. So within a day or two, reach out to the attendees and thank them for participating. From the prior slide, keeping a list of attendees, you're going to take that list of who showed up and you're going to send them, thank yous for attending. This is a good time to send them information about your website. If you have a website, this is a good time to provide handouts. It's a good time to, deliver on things that you promised during the event that you would provide them. But do it quickly after the event. Thank the speakers and the others that supported the event, such as caterers, teachers, coordinators. You may use them again. And it's always nice to have that relationship built, express that gratitude for the services that they offered, assuming they did a good job for you. So be mindful to thank people that participated in helping in the success of the event. If you're offering refunds, do these quickly and get them off your back quickly. This again is from experience, and it's I'm tempted to give refunds, and then I delay it a week or two, and I piss people off, and that doesn't help. People are giving you references and testimonials, and if you've got somebody out there that's expecting a refund, doesn't get one, you can count on them showing up on your social media posts, telling other people, their dissatisfaction with the event. So get them paid. If you're going to do refunds, do it quickly. post pictures and videos on social media of the events and what people experienced and what it looks like, if it's appropriate. And then emphasize that you also want testimonials and referrals from the people that participated. Those are so valuable in helping others feel comfortable and safe in attending a future event. So again, something that I would encourage as a follow-up activity. And then what I always do is give myself a break after a workshop, even if it's just going to a coffee shop, sitting down and having a quiet moment with a cup of chai or something to just relax and decompress. Rewarding yourself for the event, I think, is always so important. So last slide here, just any questions or comments, things that you want to ask about, I'm happy to do that.
When it comes to gathering the testimonials, have you found the best way to get the most responses, or the most streamlined way to make it easiest for people so that you get the volume that you're looking for?
Yeah, you probably need to give people a few examples of testimonials. You don't want to write it for them because that's a bit disingenuous, but you might show them, here are a few testimonials that I got from the last time, give you an idea of how to write them. What I often see, and there's a bit of more art than science to it. After the event takes place, everybody's breaking down, they're getting ready to go. It's helpful to stand by the exit and say goodbye to people as they leave. Maybe you hand them a card, maybe you shake their hand, maybe you give them a hug, whatever is appropriate. And it's at that time you can say, it would be great if you could leave me a testimonial, or if you could give a referral on my website, and make it easy for them with a card or something that has the website already on it. And like I say, offering some suggestions on what that might look like is usually a pretty good way to do it. And you can tell, I think, the success of your event and your workshop just by the number of people that are willing to give you testimonials. That's a great way to get an informal net promoter score. So.
And do you like to gather them on like a Google form, or do people send them to you a specific way to just make the process most streamlined for gathering them?
A lot of times people would prefer to post them directly to your social media platform, which is fine. Let them do that. But you can also offer just, send them to me in email and I'll do the posting for you. That's fine too. There's a little bit of trust required to let people post directly to your website or to your social media page, but a lot of people, I think, find it better to do it that way than to send it to the host and have the host post it. Yeah, other questions?
I don't really have any other questions at this moment, but I just wanted to turn and say thank you so much for your time, Mike, to present this material. I think it's really helpful for us who have been planning workshops, who want to get the ball off and running, and even me, who has had a year of success with the workshops that I've been doing. I got a bunch of notes on how I can make it much better, particularly with the follow-up. I realized I got, I don't have a sign-in sheet that I'm taking. I'm not asking for referrals. I'm not following up with the emails like you're suggesting, to re-engage them more. So I really appreciate that additional insight. about the follow-up and how important it is to continue those relationships that we're building.
Yeah, you betcha. And that relationship extends not only to the people that attended, but to the people that supported the event for you. Just as a brief example, the users conferences that I spoke of, we did in Wilmington, North Carolina. There's only one large hotel in Wilmington. It was a Hilton hotel. It was right on the river. So we always had our users conference at the hotel. I got to know the manager of the hotel, the district manager for Hilton in the Carolinas, all of the wait staff, most of the bartenders, which doesn't speak well of me necessarily, but that's the fact. Their catering manager, some of the cooks. It was a wonderful experience after 4 or 5 years of going to the hotel to have these events, to walk into the hotel for dinner and have people know your name and welcome you and, give you a nice table. And so it's just so worthwhile to be able to keep those relationships going if you use, a resource repeatedly. That's priceless.
That got me thinking of another question. Do
Sure.
you maintain like an email newsletter for your workshops, or have you ever experimented with that as a way to build a relationship in another form?
Yes, in fact, that's a great point that I didn't put on this, Lauren. That you can do is do a regular newsletter to people that have attended your events in the past. Just to keep them informed on other things that are happening, other information. So that's a great suggestion. I like that a lot.
And Mike, do you have any closing remarks for people who are on the fence, who don't feel like they could even do a workshop?
So while I've kind of described a pretty lengthy and sometimes complex process, the first one or two may be a little difficult to get over the hump and get it delivered. But the fact is that people really like to engage in learning, first of all, but they also like to engage in people that are knowledgeable about a topic or that they see as trustworthy, that they can have a relationship with. And so there's just so much benefit to doing it. And if you're nervous about it, find somebody that's got experience doing workshops and have them help you. But I really am a firm believer that, doing workshops and events, even if you partner with someone to put on a workshop or an event, I think there's really, really good ways to, promote your brand, get access to new clients, and contribute to the well-being of the community that you live in. So get over your fears and go do one.
That's great. And Mike, you are a member of SCORE, so can you briefly tell us what SCORE is and how individuals could join if they want to?
Sure. Thank you, Andrew. So SCORE is a volunteer organization. There are about 10,000 volunteers across the country. Our primary mission is to support small business communities from coast to coast. We do that primarily through mentorship. So SCORE offers mentors to any and all small business owners, or for people who are just thinking about starting a small business. The services are free. The application process is done online. It's pretty simple. Once you apply, the website is score.org/find-mentor. Once you go through the process, typically it takes somewhere around a week to get a mentor assigned to you and get in contact with you. And then most of the mentoring sessions are done online through Zoom or Google Meet. If you're so inclined, you can also meet face to face with your mentor if you're in the same general vicinity. SCORE also does workshops that you can find online under score.org. And these workshops are both live events or recorded events that you can access on all sorts of topics related to small business. Live events are going to be a fee-based event, so it'll be about $10 for the event itself. But if there's a sponsor in place that's willing to sponsor the event, then those are typically done for free. In the Denver area, we partner with a lot of businesses and banks and other partners that support SCORE and the small business community. And a lot of the workshops that we do in person are free for attendees that are willing to take the time to get to the location. Yeah.
Awesome. Well, great. Well, thank you again for that, Mike, and thank you again for volunteering your time to join us in a conversation about building workshops and helping us make a difference in the communities.
Yeah, that's great. Well, you guys keep up the good work. It's a pleasure spending some time with you this morning, and I look forward to doing it again.
I look forward to it as well. Thank you so much, Mike.
Yeah, cheers.
Great to meet you.
Good to meet you too, Lauren.